Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Your Spiritual Journey. This is Dr. Bob, and this is the space and the place where we talk about things important to your soul. As always, we ask that you like us, subscribe, and maybe even support us on Patreon. All that helps keep us on the air. So today's guest is my first redhead.
Beautiful.
And that's not the only reason why she's special. Kyle Harder, who was episode 168, if you remember him, he was the breathwork coach and healer. He was on about 2 months ago, and he recommended that I have Amy on the program. So Amy Suchma is a professional healer and ritual master in the ancient lineage of King Salomon, offering advanced energetic healings rooted in a 3,000-year-old lineage tradition. By the way, she's not that old. She is the founder of Elf Cafe, a space devoted to personal transformation, beauty alchemy, and spiritual empowerment. With over 30 years of experience as a makeup artist and licensed esthetician,
Good job.
Amy bridges beauty and ritual, teaching women how to embody confidence, self-worth, and presence during intentional daily practices. She's also known for her intuitive timeline readings, developed through her own lived experience, helping clients access key moments for clarity, healing, and transformation. Her work is rooted in precognitive ability that she has had since childhood, refined into a precise and reliable method for reading a person's timeline. And I do want to stress that she works with all genders, not just women.
Of course.
Of course. So, Amy, as always, first I'd like to hear about your spiritual journey from childhood till now, and then we'll get into some of these exciting things you're doing.
Yeah, I like it. Thank you so much, Bob, for having me. This is an honor and a privilege to be here. And I want to thank Kyle publicly for recommending that we talk because we met at the Three Rivers Psychic Fair.
Hi.
And Kyle was helping me. He's been a friend of mine for a really long time.
And you were doing tarot readings, right, at
I
that time?
was.
So I didn't even mention that you do that, but
Yeah,
we'll
so
throw that in.
that goes actually right into the story. It's a beautiful segue. Look at this
Okay.
natural host. So when I was younger, I started getting these feelings. I'm more clairsentient, which means like I get the feeling of something happening, and I get the feeling in my body. Um, and then eventually that feeling and that vibration starts to translate into like a visual in my mind, like in my imagination, right? So imagination is a very powerful tool in the world of magic.
In fact, Einstein said it's more important than intelligence.
I would agree.
Yeah.
And all right, okay, Einstein reference. There you go. I am now validated. Um, But when I was a child, I would have these feelings that maybe something was going to happen. And then sure enough, things would happen. And so fast forward to, I think I was about 9 years old, and I started seeing like an oval suspended in space. And I would see these flashes of light along this oval. And eventually I started realizing that they were months of the year. Um, and when I would see these flashes, like now I see it as like it's like an egg shape, and like the lower part of the egg is winter and the big part of the egg is summer. So I'm assuming it has to do with sunlight. I don't know. But as a child, I would see these flashes of light. And so I started grabbing old calendars and circling dates on calendars to be like, okay, well, it's this week and then it's these days, and then put it back down. And then months later, when an event would happen or something would happen, I would go back to that calendar, and sure enough, I would have the dates. So, like, for an example, when I was about 12 years old, there was a big bright flash of light on my, I call this my timeline, the oval.
Okay.
There's a big bright flash of light, and I was like, "Whoa," and I was able to kinda I liken it to, like, zooming in on a screen now that we have these days, but of course, this was back in the early '80s, so
Yeah.
this was not, um we didn't have that back then, but I zoomed in and I had 5 days of a week circled, and then I had 3 days of that week circled, and then 1 day circled, like, all within that same 5-day period, so it was like 5 days, 3 days, 1 day. And that was when, I've experienced the first major passing of a family member that was affecting me. So it was my great uncle, and I loved him dearly. And so at the beginning of that 5 days is when he passed. The 3 days at the beginning of the 3 days was like the viewing of the funeral, and then the last day that I had circled was the funeral, and that had such a big impact on me, but I didn't even realize it at that time. It wasn't until about a month or so later that I remembered to check the calendar that I
Oh,
circled,
okay.
and I was like, "Whoa," and I being raised Catholic, which I love the Catholic mass and I love the rituals of it, it was really difficult to try to find anybody to talk to back then, and we
Yeah.
we didn't have the internet. It was very difficult to find any kind of books that were written about these types of things. And the only reference that I had at that time for psychic abilities was like Miss Cleo or like Sylvia Brown, right? That would be
Yeah.
on the talk shows. And so
Uh-huh.
I had a lot of questions, but I was like, "Okay, this is something." And so over the years, I started testing it and I started diving into it. I also had experiences with astral travel, that I didn't understand what it was at the time, and it wasn't until I got into high school that I got a car and I started partaking in extracurricular activities like smoking pot.
Okay.
And where that took me to would be, like, some of, like, the, shops that would sell the paraphernalia, but then also had books,
Uh-huh.
with information on spirituality and the occult and the occult being hidden knowledge, not
Yeah.
anything bad, and so I started finding actual resources to and found that it was describing a lot of the things that I was already experiencing, and so that just kinda took me on that journey, and, um I started trusting that I had this intuitive nature. I would get messages, from the spirit world. I guess that's what I call it. I just think it's energetic and different dimensional work, that there's a lot of things that are happening in other dimensions in the same time that's happening here.
Yeah.
And I think everybody has the ability to tune into these things. Um, I just think some of us are probably just a little bit more aware, open-minded, to actually explore them because it can be a little weird and a little scary for folks. But
Mhm.
I think every single human on this planet has the ability to do so.
Yeah.
So that is my journey. That's the core of what I do, is to help empower other people to tune into those intuitions within themselves and those healing abilities that they have within themselves.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a part of it.
So you were raised Catholic,
Yeah, yeah.
and are you still Catholic?
I don't consider myself Catholic any longer. I still love the masses. Like, I wanted to be a priest
Mm.
when I was a child, so I was involved in doing anything that I could to be on the altar, right?
Okay.
So I did the cantor, I was the reader, I was, in chorus, like in the choir. I did everything that I could that I would be allowed to be on the altar, but of course I was female, so I wasn't allowed to be a
Yeah.
priest at the time, so and then, a boy ended up liking me, so I was like, "Well, being a
The
nun
nerve.
is out of the question." Yeah. That's out of the question. So I had been on a journey on how can I be involved in becoming like a priestess, or how can I embody, helping to be a leader in some senses,
Mhm.
or a guide or a mentor in the spiritual sense for folks. And that's what took me on my journey there.
So I make an assumption that
Mhm.
you've done some past life work?
I've done some past life work. I have in the lineage. There's different views on different past lives. I think each lineage or each spiritual tradition has their own idea on what past lives could be in those experiences. In some past life work, I was an observer and a guide for people.
Mm.
There are some experiences that I've had that I've have a first person perspective, and then there's some experiences that I've gone back to where I had a third person experience. And so it's yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, I've had some past life regression, sure. Yeah.
Okay, so were you a priestess in any of those? That
Oh, I certainly carried some abilities. I certainly had some awakenings in each life that I would think of, but as far as truly remembering, I take those experiences of past life regression as information. And I don't put too much weight in as in like an identity of where I was.
uh-huh,
It's mostly it keeps me grounded and focused in this life and what I can actually do in this life. So any information that I had received is just kind of like a okay, great. Like that was a really cool experience that may or may not have happened. Like I try to remain, believe it or not, I'm kind of like a skeptic of
uh-huh,
even my own abilities, like in my own I try to remain like really, really grounded and like, okay, this is information. I don't take it all on as identity. But I do take it as information as something that like can give me more insight. Like, what can I learn from it that I can apply today in this life? Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Well, this introduction that I did,
Mhm.
okay,
Yeah. There's a lot in there.
you're a ritual master
Yes.
in the ancient lineage of
Mm.
King Solomon.
Yeah.
So can we pull it apart and find out when did you find this out that that's what
Mm.
you were? Or is it
Yeah.
something you worked toward being and became?
Okay, all of
How
the
did that
above.
work? Oh,
All the above.
okay.
All the check marks. So, I started practicing Wicca when I was about 15, 16 years old. And there's a lot of, stigma growing up about it. It
Mhm.
even like
Yeah,
this is I've just recently started speaking publicly about my spirituality because of guilt or old onion layering of stigma that comes along with, what are my family going to think? What is, this, that, and the other thing. So if I hesitate with anything, it's like, ooh,
mm,
okay, I'm being open about my spirituality
yeah,
and the more authentic that I've been, the more powerful I become. So that's why I'm
mhm,
opening up about it,
right,
right? When I was and I had practiced Celtic shamanism, like druidry. I have a lot of Celtic roots, a lot of Irish roots, British Isles
mhm,
and Welsh and all those things. And so anyway, I was practicing all those mostly as a solitary practitioner for about I guess almost 30 years. And I started wanting to practice more higher magics like Enochian magic, angelic magic. And, I started trying to practice those things on my own, and I started feeling a little woohoo, like
mhm,
a little nutso. And I was like, "Ooh, I need a mentor. Like, I need somebody to teach me how
yeah,
to do these things because there's a lot of information that's out there, some of it very valid and some of it very convoluted. So and corrupted in some senses, and I could feel some funkiness, like, in some,
yeah,
and I was like, "I need somebody to teach me." So I was friends with a man, and after we were friends about 9 months, I had expressed to him that I was like, "This is what I wanted," and he goes, "Oh, well, it sounds like you need this particular thing," and I was introduced to a mystery school, and I went to their website, and I saw Ritual Master on there, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, I wanna do that, whatever that is. I
yeah,
don't know what that is." And so, I contacted this school. They're called the Modern Mystery School, based in Toronto, Canada. And there's, a lot of information and a lot of beautiful experiences through the Modern Mystery School. And so I went on their website and I saw that it began with a life activation. And so I reached out via email and they had a practitioner in my area. I was living in Atlanta, Georgia at the time, and I got my life activation, and it was so profound. Um, and it is a healing, but it also activates your spiritual DNA. And when I got that done, it was so incredibly profound that immediately I told the practitioner, I said, how do I learn how to do this for other people?
Yeah.
Like, oh my, like I get like emotional even thinking about it because it was that profound
Yeah.
of a feeling. And even during, I could see all of my ancestors showing up and like supporting this and going, hooray, and
Yeah.
so it started with a class called Empower Thyself. And it is a 2-day class. And at the end, you receive an initiation. You learn the oral tradition of the lineage of King Solomon.
Mm.
So King Solomon is a familiar figure
Right.
in Abrahamic religion and tradition. So what he did, and I am not a spokesperson for the school, and nor will I. I took an oath to maintain a lot of the oral traditions, so I can give you the gist on like what's available
Yeah.
out there. And so, he was considered King Solomon the Wise, and at the time he wanted to achieve the highest level of human, like the highest potential of the human here on earth. And so he gathered all of the, shamans and medicine men and women and all of the spiritual leaders of the time and brought them all together, and they came up with this spiritual practice that would help the human to achieve their highest potential, and thus began the lineage of King Solomon. So some of the practices, like, it includes the Hermetic Kabbalah. I am a
Mhm.
Kabbalist. I had committed to becoming initiated as a Kabbalist through the lineage of King Solomon. Um, so a lot of that is based. So a lot of some of the practices are even older than the lineage,
Yeah.
but they're incorporated into the lineage, which is over 3,000 years old. And lineage means like you have proof of initiates that had been
Mhm.
along this line for over 3,000 years, passed down from teacher to student. And so that is how I became, and through study, I became a life activation practitioner. About a year later, it took me a year of study to get there. And then through that, I ended up becoming a ritual master novice, so RM1, and then I became a ritual master apprentice, which is RM2, and then also I just recently, in this past November, became a 2.5 ritual master. So I am well on my way to becoming a guide in the lineage, which means I would be able to initiate people and teach empower thyself. So I am on a
Okay.
journey.
Right. Because that's a question I was going to ask. Could
Yeah.
you teach this to someone else
Mm,
and have them become part of the lineage? So you're
yeah.
almost there.
I'm almost there. It takes study. It is a hierarchical structure based on merit. So,
Uh,
I like that. I like that structure. I like being able to go in, learn from a teacher, being held accountable to myself and my own devotion. Whatever I learn, I I I get strengthened through what do I take to my altar at home? I
mhm.
truly have a devotional practice that takes at least an hour to 2 hours, twice a day
Okay.
for my own personal development and practice. Yeah.
That's quite a dedication.
Mhm.
Uh, I know
Mhm.
people who try to set aside that much time for meditation and find it very difficult.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I applaud those people with that kind of discipline.
Thank you. It strengthens me. It's interesting. It's like I look forward to it. It's fun for me. I'm sorry if I
Uh-huh.
coffee on
Sure.
me. It's fun for me. I mean, at first, there are days, I'm not gonna lie, there are some days where I'm like, man, I do not feel like doing this. Why don't I just make
Yeah.
my coffee and plop in front of the television but I also know that, the I really want to help people help themselves
Uh-huh.
because that's what was given to me. And I learned that through 12-step recovery. I've been sober 20 years. So I learned that kind of devotion and that kind of getting outside of myself, which I do my best. I fall short
Yeah.
daily. I do still get stuck
Don't
inside
we
of me.
all?
Don't we all?
Yeah.
But I had I had developed a devotional practice that I actually look forward to, and now it's like I just love it,
Yeah.
and I look forward to it, and I get incredibly grounded and centered when I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my discipline is 17 minutes of qigong every morning.
Oh, beautiful. Very
And
powerful.
uh it's not 2 hours.
No,
But
yeah, I mean, it's funny because it's like, I definitely have to set the time aside, but like when I'm in the middle of doing it, it really the time passes so quickly and
yeah, right.
I'm so in it and so used to
Mhm.
doing it that I know that it's just going to benefit me even more. And pardon me, I mean, there are some times where like, there are some moments in my journey where there'll be like a week where I'm just doing the bare minimum, but then I get back into the
Yeah,
rotation of the daily practice. So, you just don't quit and you don't give up. I mean, I don't do it perfectly all the time, but when I am on my roll, and I'm usually mostly 97% consistent with that kind of, I at least end up doing 30 minutes to an hour each day.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. Well, my cat won't let me skip qigong because he's he's all over me while I'm doing it,
Oh,
and
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
he
Yeah.
gets the energy,
Oh,
so
cats are amazing. Yeah, my cat was, coughing up a hairball right as I was leaving to get here, which is what would like, took me so long to get here. I was like, "No, why are you doing this? I gotta go," so, oh, those little rascals.
yeah,
They're so cute, though.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Mhm.
you are the founder of Elf Cafe,
Correct.
and I assume that Elf harkens back to your Irish roots, maybe?
I mean, possibly it is a play on it. So, ELF is an acronym for Empowering Light Foundation.
Okay.
So, it's basically the mission that I personally have to help empower the foundation of light within
Mhm.
people, and that's spiritual light, light from source,
Right.
light that we're all a part of, light of agape love, right?
Mhm.
It's a powerful force of creation, and, so that was where ELF came about. I had, so Empowering Light, I have 2 websites. Elf-cafe.com is like my main hub
Mhm.
where I have everything that I just throw everything in there.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is what I do everywhere.
And
Em
what's the other one?
empoweringlightfoundation.com.
Okay.
And empoweringlightfoundation.com is only what I learned from the lineage. And that is where I have 12 different healing modalities that I offer through Empowering Light Foundation. And that was
Right.
the original was my original website was empoweringlightfoundation.com, and I had that with my partner, and he passed away last year.
Oh, sorry to hear
Yeah,
that.
thank you. And he was an incredible teacher and mentor, and just incredibly good friend. It was a short-lived romantic connection, but we had been friends for a very long time.
Yeah.
And that was actually his original name for his own business was
Mhm.
Empowering Light Foundation. So we decided to start it together and revive it.
Yeah.
But that is only my lineage work. That's only what I learned from the lineage. So what I decided to do because I had my own healings that I developed on my own for my own practices, like my timeline healings, my timeline readings with tarot. Um, so I decided to shorten it and call it Elf Cafe because it
Uh,
was like my own,
yeah.
thing. And
Right.
so Elf, Empowering Light Foundation Cafe. It's kind of like Elf Light,
Yeah.
and it's really so I wanted to separate the two so it was very clear that Empowering Light Foundation was only lineage work. It was when I took those oaths in the lineage for these healing modalities, I took an oath not to modify any of that work. So
Right.
none of it
Uh-huh.
gets convoluted, none of it gets corrupted. Everything is purely of the lineage. And so then I started Elf Cafe that had to do with my own timeline readings and my healings that was not related to the
Mhm.
lineage in any way. So
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure I had two separate things, but yet at the same time,
Yeah.
they work together. And I just started an LLC called the Elf Collective. So yeah, so everything, I do business under Elf Collective, which is a collective of everything that I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was gonna say through all of this, you have to make a living. Yeah. You have
Yes.
to be
Yes,
able
sir. Yes, I
you have to
do.
be able to pay the bills.
Yes, I
So I
do.
was wondering what you started out as
Mhm.
in terms of making a living and then how
Yeah.
that morphed into, are you
Yeah.
totally trying to make a living now in this
Mhm.
spiritual realm?
Yes. So, yes, I am. So, I was
Okay.
a professional makeup artist for 31 years.
Where?
I was a national artist for Sephora. So
Oh,
yeah, and I did, Fashion Week in Paris and London and New York,
whoa.
and I was a part of the field education team in artistry. I was a Sephora Pro artist. I was even a professional artist and national artist for other cosmetic brands and what have you prior to that. And what I found is this is where the beauty alchemy comes in, which is on elf-cafe.com,
Yeah.
and it's called No More Beauty Secrets, also No More BS. So,
Okay.
what I found in the beauty industry, it wasn't just like the education of beauty that I'm incredibly talented as an artist, but I love the connection that I was getting one on one with the employees that I was teaching
Yeah.
and empowering them and the clients and teaching them. And I started practicing and doing mindfulness in the ritual of it and like holding intention and actually helping to infuse that intention into their products, like
Yeah.
being more present and how we are um showing up for ourselves and how makeup is more like jewelry and it's not something to hide behind. It's something
Mm.
to enhance, and how skincare is actually a part of your health because your skin is the largest organ on your body. And so I started really getting into those practices. And so on the side, I was doing tarot readings and they were timeline readings. And I started getting so busy with those just through word of mouth. And I got really tired of the politics of the corporate world. And everyone thought I was nuts. And I
Yeah.
decided I'm leaving the corporate world. And I wiped out my 401k and moved up north and tried moving to Canada, to Toronto,
Yeah.
to be closer to the school. But
Right.
also, I have a community there and I have friends there and I have
Mhm.
a whole life that I started to create from going there. Um, and so I packed my bags. I had an interview with Sephora Canada and I even had an offer, but then immigration laws kept me from acquiring the actual job. So I came back to Pittsburgh. And when I came back to Pittsburgh, which was fine because my whole family is here, I came back to Pittsburgh and I was doing timeline readings and making a living off of doing timeline readings. Like I just kept getting bookings. And through that and through the practice, I started discovering something called a timeline healing, where I help clients. It's almost it looks like a guided meditation, but it's actually I help them travel back in time in their lives to moments of their lives and heal themselves. And I had done this work on myself for 6 years, and so I decided to how do I help other people safely without getting stuck in the trauma,
Yeah.
heal themselves and remain the observer. So I developed
Mhm.
that and beta tested it, and my clients were having incredible results,
Yeah.
and being able to remove like blockages from their lives and see things differently. And then um, I had something called a love reclamation. And so I was practicing this for myself. I got a divorce in 2020, and I would have these moments of like intense loneliness and longing
Mhm.
and yearning for companionship and love. And I'm like,
Well, and what a
yeah,
time to do it because that's COVID.
it was COVID.
COVID
Yeah, it was
year, so
lockdown. It
it's
was lockdown.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was easy to feel isolated and alone at that point.
It was, and up until that point, Bob, like, I was traveling for work 70% of the year, and I did that since, like, 2009. So this was the first time that I was working from home, and I had to sit with myself.
Mhm.
I wasn't
Yeah.
busy, I didn't have travel schedules, I didn't and I it was incredibly uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And, I had the dark night of the soul like a lot of other people,
Mhm.
and that's why, like, in 2020 lockdown, I had to sit with myself. I was going through a divorce. Fortunately, I left him right before lockdown, and, it was like I hit my bottom, and I said, "If I ever felt like dating again, I'm gonna go to therapy instead," and that's what I did. And, through those moments, I had a very good friend of mine who said, you can conjure up that feeling of love yourself, rather than needing another person to conjure it up for you. And I went,
Mm.
huh. So I started sitting in meditation, and at this point in 2021 is when I initiated into my lineage and developed more tools.
Yeah.
And so I started going in and started visualizing other people in my life and started realizing that the love came from me.
Mhm.
And any love that I felt for another person was actually me. And so I started being able to separate that love from those figures of those people, and bring it back into myself.
Yeah.
And that was incredibly healing, and so that's actually something that I offer as a healing, as it could be a one and done, or it could be a series that clients wanna meet with me, but I take them through that practice, and it's been
Yeah, the
beautiful.
realization that if you're giving love,
Mhm.
you have to have love to give it. So
Absolutely.
it's the love is there.
Yeah.
You just don't know it.
Yeah, there was a quote that, one of my teachers, my ritual master teacher, Sovereign Abyssimist Dave Lanyon, whom I have a tremendous amount of respect for, he was like, "Your heart doesn't get broken, your mind does."
Mhm.
Because when I follow my heart, I'm always in the good, right? But it's my mind that gets in the way, and it's my ego that gets in the way to try to keep me safe, right? From all these
Mhm.
hurts and
Right.
everything, right? But when I really get heart centered, so part of my practice for anything in my daily meditations, in my timeline healing, in my love reclamation healing, and even as I prepare for all my lineage work, I separate the physical with relaxation. I go into the mind and I relax the mind, and then I drop down into the heart center for that awareness into the spiritual plane. Because that's really when I do all my work there, I'm completely focused and it's all full of love.
Right.
Hmm.
So you mentioned that your family is in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, huh, my whole family.
So what do they think about all this weird stuff you're doing?
I don't think they know what to think of all this weird stuff, and I love my family tremendously. I can't really speak for them, but I can share my experience and I know that there's been some confusion. I know that there's been some fear,
Mhm.
um, fear for my soul, fear for just because nobody knows, like they
Right.
don't know. And the thing is that when I begin to speak about it, it's kind of like, okay, well, as long as you're good, we're good, and so. And that's okay.
Yeah.
I think at this point with me coming public with what I do, I actually just spoke with my father recently and he's like, "Look, I don't understand you, but I love you." And he knows I'm a good person, and that's kind of like where he's just keeping, where they're keeping it
Right.
at is like they know I'm good.
Yeah.
Um and they know that what I'm doing is actually helping people, and in my daily actions I walk the walk. So
Yeah.
I'm not just lip service, and that's really all they need to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. For
Well,
them.
that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because if you were raised with a fairly conventional Catholic background,
Yeah.
and then took this little turn,
It's a
that
little
that could be
unconventional.
upsetting. Yeah.
It could be, but I think, when it was really my Catholic roots that inspired me to move into the
Yeah.
work that I'm doing now.
Mhm.
Because, there's a lot of beautiful parallels in the
Yeah.
ritual.
Right.
There's a lot of really interesting histories that I can see that the Catholic religion, and I'm not talking about like the politics of it. I'm not talking
Right.
about the institution
Yeah.
itself. I'm talking about the rituals of the mass and the rituals of the thing. There's a lot of things that are very, very
Yeah.
parallel.
Well,
Yeah,
and the belief in angels and,
absolutely.
a lot of the,
Hmm.
I guess, people who I've talked with and interviewed on this program who have Catholic backgrounds,
Yeah.
just say that it was their Catholicism that helped them imagine and really discover
Hmm.
this other world
Truly. Well, because
and
it's
this other
magic.
perspective.
It's
Y-
magical.
Yeah.
So when you go to a Catholic mass, when I went back to like, and I would go to like a Catholic mass for, either a funeral or like even my nephew's confirmation or, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
I would go in and I could feel the energies and I could see the sigils and I could see and feel like the grids and the protections and the beauty. And I'm like, whoa, okay. But it was really interesting because if you think like all the standing, sitting, kneeling is the entire congregation building this energy,
Yeah.
right? Like standing for exalting, sitting to receive, nailing for humility, kneeling for nailing. Sorry. Terrible. Kneeling for humility and receiving, like bowing and reverence and um all of that. And then you got this dude up at the altar, like invoking his God into himself and infusing that and literally using alchemy to transform like the offering, and then each
Yeah.
person in the congregation taking it within them. All of that is the build up to that thing of the communion. And I'm like, "That is some pagan stuff," like, "Come on,"
Yeah.
So sorry, I don't mean to offend any Catholics, but I it's beautiful to me. It's beautiful to me, and I
Uh-huh.
think it's an incredibly gorgeous ritual, and it's rich in tradition and in symbolism, and I think there's a lot more symbolism that was never taught to me as a
Yeah.
young Catholic. They would be like, "Just believe it." And I'm like, "But why?" And the nuns used to be like exasperated with me because I was always asking why,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think the elevation of, Mary, uh,
Mm,
is something, I don't know, noteworthy, I guess. Uh,
for sure.
just just that balance of masculine and feminine energies.
It's so needed. It's so
Yeah.
needed within ourselves. There's, I love being a woman.
Mhm.
I'm good at it. I'm good at it. I love it. I love who I
Yeah.
am. I love how I am, and I think when each person starts to love who they are, like, you find out who you are.
Mhm.
First, you find out who you're not, right?
Yeah.
Then you embrace who you truly are, whatever or whoever you are,
Yeah.
right? Truly embracing your authentic nature and developing and part of the hermetic principles, because I started studying hermetics at like about 20 years ago with a book called The Kabbalion.
Mm.
I don't know if you've heard of the
No,
Kabbal.
yeah.
Oh my God. Bob.
Okay,
Yeah,
let
get
me
it right
write
there.
that down.
Kabbalion, Kybalion. Kabbalion. So it talks about the seven hermetic principles. Mhm.
Okay.
And hermeticism is incredibly rooted in my lineage and in the work that I do. And so that particular book, The Kabbalion, was like, whoa, somebody wrote down everything that I've been thinking and philosophizing and,
Yeah.
coming to fruition, and it was written in 1908.
Mhm.
These are their hermeticism dates back to ancient Egypt
Yeah.
and the philosophies of Hermes, right? So the seven hermetic principles are yeah, the Hermetica is also another book that explains it more. Even the Emerald Tablets
Mm.
of Thoth have are rooted in Hermeticism and philosophy of such.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, with all these travels that you
I
did,
know, there's so much,
have
right?
you been to Egypt?
I have not been to Egypt, not physically anyway. um
Okay.
I've not been in Egypt. It is on my bucket list.
Yeah.
Along with many things. I mean, I have a very strong affection and affiliation with Celtic mythology and lore and the Celtic pantheon,
Mhm.
particularly Welsh Celtic.
Yeah.
And I've been practicing with those pantheons for a long time. So my biggest thing is to get to Wales and to
Yeah.
get to the British Isles again and like really do the tours and explore the land and get connected there first. But I
Yeah.
would love to go to Egypt and Greece and all of, Romania and all of those places. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what they say, you never know when the end's gonna come, so it's good to make sure you get these things in now, and not have this future bucket list that
Yeah.
never gets done.
It's all about the now, Bob.
Yep.
Life is too short,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, but yeah, so I do want to just, plug in really quickly. The timeline readings is where I make the biggest living off of. I do my tarot readings and I offer
Yeah.
recordings.
Uh,
And every single person that I have done a timeline reading for, it's all been accurate.
mm,
Every single one. And I do the recordings and I send them. I like doing it on Zoom. I love doing it in person, but I'm like, please record it because
yeah.
I like them having a recording so they can
Right.
go back and track it.
Sure.
Mhm.
Sure. All right. There's so much I want to get into
I
tonight.
know, I
Just
know.
okay. Where do we go now?
I'm
You
following
know,
your lead, man.
that's okay, Amy. I love that name, Amy. That's my wife's name. So I
Oh, such a good name.
always connect with it.
Oh, I love that.
Okay. Let's see. If and I guess I mentioned this to you before the podcast started, but uh, I've had a couple Akashic record readings done
Oh, good. Yeah. Mhm. Mhm.
from different people,
Sure. Yeah.
uh, and some of the focus has been on my essential tremors that
Mm,
I have, and
sure.
uh, I've wondered, well, where'd they come from? Because
Mm.
I'm a strong believer that every physical problem has a spiritual cause somewhere.
There's some truth to that. Yeah.
So, uh, so I asked about them, and both were able to track back to past lives
Mm,
where traumas happened,
sure.
uh, that then got triggered later
Mhm.
in my life that
Yeah.
triggered these.
Yeah.
Uh, so, and Kyle and I had a discussion about this, and he said, "Well, Amy can help you with that because
Mm,
she can cut the cord to those past lives for you or help
mm,
you do it."
got it.
Uh, so I was curious about that process and
Mm,
just thought I'd ask on the air,
sure.
what's your process?
What's my process? So there's a couple things that they do. The cord cuttings that I offer, and it's a big buzzword in the new age community, cord cutting, right?
Yeah.
And there's these beautiful rituals that you have, and I've done like Wiccan cord cuttings where you get like the two candles and like the twine, and you have them burned down, and you carve names in them, and you anoint them, and they're beautiful. The cord cuttings that I do are directly handed down from the lineage. And I cut all the negative emotional cords, in your life, and basically, all the emotional cords are gonna be cut from you, but then you get to reestablish all the good ones that you want to establish right away in your mind, in your heart,
Mhm.
immediately, you can establish all the good cords. Um, the cords are then burned away, and then you're completely released from all those negative cords. And basically, I also pair it with something called a negative energy removal, where it's kind of like a return to sender, but only in what is true to the light, right? So any energy that people are throwing your way, I am able to remove that energy from you through the ritual, and it only takes like 5 minutes. That's what I was doing at the psychic fair, at the Three
Mhm.
River Psychic Fair. I was doing negative energy removals and cord cuttings. The whole process itself takes about 15-20 minutes. Um, but it's a lot of energy. And
Yeah.
so, that doesn't remove past live stuff. It's just what's happening right now.
Mhm.
Um, it's incredibly powerful. And each person that have received the cord cutting, had ris that people start popping up in their lives and trying to reconnect with them, and it happens every single time. I'm like, "You're gonna get people trying to reconnect with you through a text message or, like, whatever, a phone call." You run into them because they can probably feel those cords being cut. I mean, I don't know, I'm not them, I don't speak for them, but that's just what I've
Yeah.
seen as a pattern. I am
Uh,
very good in pattern recognition, and so I tell them that, when it comes to different karma that's in your life, the life activation actually helps to heal, 7 generations of karma from past 7 generations and then forward 7
Mhm.
generations. So it helps to release that generational karma that you've achieved um, in your actual physical existence. Um, when it comes to past lives, there are other healing modalities that are in my lineage that I don't do, that I don't have, but there are practitioners that do, and I can always get people connected to. I'm more of like spreading the wealth. Like if you want this thing,
Yeah.
go to this practitioner, of course. Um, but as far as past life, bringing that, I think that that's really something as we circle back to in the beginning of something that we can do ourselves.
Mhm.
And it's really just a matter of how much do I want to do that?
Yeah.
How much am I going to take a look at myself? Because even the past lives, if we're talking about different dimensional work as dimensions all existing in one in at once,
Mhm.
right? For lack of a better term, because time is only linear really here. I think all of those different generational in this life, so all of our ancestors, I believe that has something to do also with carrying that into today that's affecting us the most today. As far as energetically, like any past lives that I've had, um, they manifest in what's happening today with me. So if I work on healing me today, that will heal all of those past
Mhm.
life
Right.
and generational karmic ailments. When we become awakened, I believe, this is my belief, this is not speaking for the lineage in any way, but my belief in my experience, my own gnosis, was as I go in and heal myself, even within this life, right? When I heal my past self, I actually am affecting my present self, which affects my future self. When I heal my present self, I'm affecting my past and my future self.
Right.
So I think I'm not saying that there isn't some validity in that, but I think focusing on where I'm at right now, where my 2 feet are, is probably the most powerful healing that I can do, which will actually start to heal those past lives. So it's
Mhm.
almost instead of saying, let me go and check out these past lives to heal me now, I try to be more, like, for me, it's more empowering to think, let me heal myself now, and that'll clear up all that
Yeah.
noise.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, this multi-dimensional life that we lead
I know.
is, such a fascinating concept to me.
Hmm.
Uh, and the fact that, uh, at least my belief is that there is such a thing as an oversoul, and that
Hmm.
this soul is
Hmm.
just one part of
Mhm.
a larger soul.
Mhm.
So, and that there are multiple pieces of this larger soul
Yeah,
in existence at the same time.
absolutely.
So all those lives are happening at once.
All at once, that's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
like, they're all happening at once, and what's interesting too is that in my own personal belief, we are all a collective of one thing, of
Mhm.
one consciousness, and in the idea it is the idea of separation that causes pain and suffering.
Right.
And so, if you look at all of humanity and the history of humanity, anytime we try to consider ourselves separate from one another, it causes pain.
Yeah.
Every single one. So you are a reflection of me, and I am a reflection of you, as well as everybody else that is walking this earth. We are all collectively a part of one thing. So if I have these abilities, so do you.
Right.
So does she, so does he, so do they, so do them, like every single person that I believe is walking this planet is a part of God consciousness. We are all a part of God being that collective
Mhm.
consciousness. Instead of thinking of a traditional idea of the word God, I had to change my thinking on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with you on all of that.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
well, as often happens
I know
on this
time goes by
program,
so fast.
we've just about run out of time.
Mm,
And I know that you've watched a couple
I
episodes, so you have
have
an idea of what's going to happen next.
an idea. Yeah.
And that idea is that this is your opportunity to leave the audience with a few words of wisdom.
Mm,
So, you've got them. They're
okay.
here listening and watching. So, what
Mhm.
would you like to say to them?
What I would like to say to everybody is there's a camera. You are love. And the life that you want is within reach and within your grasp. And I know some days feel really heavy and this life can be incredibly emotionally damaging, but you have it within you to heal and you have it within you to have the life that you've always dreamed of and probably even better. And even though there may be some resistance to that, when you connect to other people and you get vulnerable and you find those that create a safe space, start creating safe space for others to be vulnerable, and then a rippling effect happens. So connect with me. I can help you on that journey. I can't do it for you, but I will definitely hold that space for you to do that for yourself and to heal yourself, so that we can, one person at a time, begin to heal the world.
Great words.
Mhm.
Thank you so much, Amy.
You're so welcome. Thank you for having me here. It's an honor, truly.
So, audience, as always, take what you've heard, incorporate into your life that which resonates with you, and put the rest on a shelf until you're ready to deal with it. And until next time, this has been your spiritual journey.